Okay, yay. All right. We want to hear all about your story and just how you found it works, how you got started in the business, and what it's done for you in your life so far. You'll have to unmute yourself again. I just muted everybody. Okay,
All
perfect.
right. Thank you for the start of that. That was awesome. Thank you so much for having me. So you guys, I'm Katie Kruse. I joined It Works January 28th of 2016. So my third year is approaching soon. I had always seen people talking about It Works on Facebook, and I was that single mom at the time that I was super skeptic, and I used to scroll down and be like, oh my gosh, there's no way, and just I was super skeptic for years when I saw it on my Facebook, even though people that I actually knew were doing it and people that I trusted were doing it. So I was that person, and then I was working full-time as a dental assistant. I wasn't making ends meet. My fiance that I had met as I had started dental assisting, we started dating, we got engaged. He had this nice, successful job, and I felt like at my lowest because I didn't want to be that wife that, I wanted to stay home in reality and be able to raise my son, but I had no idea how I was going to be able to do that besides having him pay my bills. And I just didn't want to live my life that way. So we found out that we were going to be moving in two weeks to Minnesota. This was, like I said, last 2 Januaries ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if we move, I'm going to have, like, the dental assisting requirements in Minnesota are way more crazy than the dental assistant criteria in Illinois. So I knew I was going to have to do more schooling and pay more money for a job that was not getting me anywhere, that was not helping me get ahead. So I personally reached out to a girl that I knew was doing It Works. And I knew she was successful with it. I knew that she was working from home with her daughter with it. But I reached out to her because, like I said, I knew she was making good income with this. So even though I didn't know her, I knew of her. And I'm like, I'm just going to reach out to her. I'm going to see what it's about. And then, of course, she reached out to me several times. I mean, I started reaching out to her in November. She didn't hear back from me again until January because I wasn't super serious about it until I was like, oh my gosh, we're moving in 2 weeks. I have to put my 2 weeks in at work. And like I said, if I move to Minnesota, I'm going to have to put my son in a preschool or a daycare with people that I don't know, and have to start this job with all these people that I don't know, which I'm open to meeting new people. But that was super scary to me, as I think it would be for anybody, especially what happens like on the news in daycares. That scares the heck out of me. So I jumped aboard. I charged $99 to a credit card. That was my very first credit card that I had ever opened. It was like big girl status. Opened a credit card, started my own business. Everything kind of fell into place after that. And honestly, the first week of my business, I would say, I got started right away. So I got on Facebook and I started messaging everybody and anybody. It was extremely creepy. And my messaging approach was really awful. Like, hey, have you ever tried It Works products? Like, right off the bat. Like, if I go back to the messages 3 years ago, awful. So the first week I kind of messed around and dabbled a little bit on it. And then I finally got a hold of my upline and was like, okay, what do I need to do to make money? And so she sent me the first chart and told me, and I read the compensation plan. I printed it off. I read through that while I was at work because I knew I had 2 weeks that I was sitting behind a computer just doing insurance claims at that point because I had put my 2 weeks in, and I'm like, I'm going to learn this. And it just took off from there. That's kind of how it got started and why I got started. Like I said, I kind of dabbled around it for a couple months. And then once I found out that we were actually moving and I was going to probably have to be starting another job, I'm like, I have to take this seriously. So.
That's so cool. So another thing that I noticed that you said was at first, you reached out and you talked to her, but you didn't join, and then she was following up with you, but you weren't really serious about it. But then your situation changed, and then you were like, crap, I need this, I actually need to do this business, because if I don't, then I'm going to have to do school, and all these things are going to happen because of that. And so your situation changed. And so I think it's important for us to hear that, because so many times we talk to people who are not ready right now and get discouraged because we think that it has to happen right now, but we're not really in this business for the right now. We're in this business to plant seeds right now so that our business can continue to flourish later on. And then once you've been in the business for so long, those times start to overlap where you're sowing and reaping at the same times. And that's why a lot of the top enrollers are people who have been in for 3 months or more, because they all have been working consistently for those 3 months, and they're now talking to those people, and those people that they, first talked to whenever they joined are now ready to order or become a distributor. And a lot of times we think, well, okay, well, this person said no, so they're never going to be interested, and I don't want to bug them, so I don't want to follow up with them. You don't know how their situation may change in the next 2 months, but you're too afraid to reach out to them because you don't want to bug them. And so I think it's important for us to remember that that really does happen. A move happens, a baby happens, and they're like, crap, I have to have money for this baby, like I don't have any money, or their husband gets deployed, or they lose their job, or they get a new house, or whatever happens, somebody gets sick. Like, all those things are things that have happened to people that I talked to 2 years ago who are finally ready to join. And it's because something happened that changed that for them. And so that's super cool, and I'm glad that you said that. The next question is, okay, so you told me a little bit about your story, so I'll ask you to tell this part too. I know you said to me in our messaging, you were just talking about how, at first with the business, you did not really have anybody working with you. You did not really have any runners. You do now. You said that you have like a great, amazing team right now. But you said at first you didn't, and you still promoted. You still went, I think you said all the way to triple diamond with pretty much you were your only runner, and there was nobody on your team really working. And I know on this team, I could pretty much speak for everybody that's, diamond and above, that they have at least one person working on their team with them. But I want you to tell them a little bit about what that was like, and then what changed from you having no runners to having runners. Like, was it something that you did differently? Was it just that they came because you just kept bringing more people in? What was it that changed that? And then how did you work during that time period where you were like, crap, like, is there ever going to be anybody that wants to do this with me?
Yeah, Morgan. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So during my first year from distributor rank to triple diamond, there were not non-workers, but there was people that weren't running to diamond as fast as I was, or, and it's not all about speed, but when I'm saying, when I'm talking about a runner, is someone that's, in it to win it every single day alongside of you, having those big goals and mass enrolling and things like that. So I did have people working, I did have people enrolling, I had people doing small promotions here and there, but, one thing that I want to touch base on with how you were talking about, okay, sometimes it's not the right time. Well, same goes for people when they join the business. I mean, there's people that join the business, and I'm all about no excuses 100%, but there's people that go through miscarriages or they're moving, and I think that happens more so when people first join. I mean, one of my biggest runners was during the $9.99 deal, honestly, and she joined and, didn't get started for her first 2 months, and then bam, month 3 went Ruby, and then after that kept promoting, so she started because she's like, this lady seems crazy, but it's $10. What am I losing out on? And then she finally realized what this business could do for her after watching more live videos and kind of dabbling in it a little bit more. But I would just say, seasons with the business, and I'm sure you can understand too, Morgan, that, you'll have people that join that do not get started right away. And maybe they kind of get started a little bit, but then they have like a big life event happen. And I feel like if you're not at a certain rank in your business and that life event happens, then it really takes longer for you to take off and get started. I've had a lot of girls that have been super consistent that aren't mass enrolling, but they've been consistent throughout the years. You know what I mean? But I feel like nothing changed on my end. I don't feel like I trained more or I trained less. I feel like sometimes, you can enroll 20 to 30 distributors a month, which I was my first year. I was top distributor enroller tons of different times with the company. It's quality over quantity, of course, but we all know that big money comes from mass enrolling, and distributors is where it's at. I feel like the more distributors you enroll, the more chance you have to really get more working people, get more runners, you know? So even though I was mass enrolling, I didn't have a ton of people taking the business seriously. And then the people that seemed to be taking it seriously, you know, quit after a year or quit into their second year or whatever and switched companies because, you know, quote unquote, they fell out of love with the products or whatever the case may be. But it was more so, they weren't putting in the work anymore. They weren't replicating what they were doing when they became successful. And so then it seemed to get hard for them and they rolled over and gave up, you know? So I don't feel like you just, some people are blessed to have runners from the beginning. And I feel like those people promote a lot faster and whatever the case may be. But, you know, if you're consistent and persistent with your business for, you know, a certain amount of time and you have your goals and you don't change your goals just because of however your team's moving, that's one thing is like, if I have people on my team moving slow, that's not slowing me down ever, you know, ever. I have my set goals every single day. I hit them, I make them happen. If I don't that day, then I do double the work the next day. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I just was consistent with my business for that full year to hit triple. And then bam, it seemed like, you know, God bless was starting to bless me more because he's like, okay, we're going to start giving you more of a break, you know? So I don't feel like my training changed. I just feel like I hung in through some of the slower times, some of the bad times. And I feel like it comes around in tenfolds.
It's so true. And like, I have a similar story too. And just that, you know, I always talk about how enrolling distributors is like flipping over a deck of cards and there's 4 aces in every deck. So, you know, you're going to hit your 4 aces and those are the people that are going to run with you and get to the top with you. But those aces may be all at the very top and they're the first 4 cards you flip over. They could be the last 4 cards in that deck. They could be all in the middle. They could be spread out everywhere. You don't know. But for me, they were towards the middle / like I'm just starting to sign a lot of them in the last like year and a half. And so, well, and that's not like everybody, obviously. Like I signed some before that too, but just for so long, I felt like I was like the only one working, or like what you said, like there were people working, but they weren't working as hard as I was, or, you know, there was only 1 of them or 2 of them. And you were like, what the heck? Like, how am I ever going to promote because of this? But like you said, you know, you hung in there, you kept going. And so many people would have quit whenever we were going through those things, but we didn't. And now we're both presidential diamonds and we're both top income earners. So you see what happens if you don't quit, but what do you think happens if you do quit? Because we're all going to go through hard times in our business. We're all going to hit an obstacle, some bigger than others. We're all going to have people on our team who quit because everybody, you know, there's people that are always going to quit any business, not just this one. There's nothing wrong with this business. People leave Walmart all the time because they just don't want to work there anymore. Like people change careers. And so we can't take that personally and think that there's something wrong with the business, or we can't sit here and like wallow in self-pity and be like, well, why am I not promoting as fast as so-and-so, and comparing ourselves and just getting in this rut. And you can do that so easily whenever you have the hard things happen, like what you were talking about. But the thing is like, if you quit, okay, you go back to exactly where you were before. If you continue, you would be a presidential diamond top income earner, and it may be 5 years from then, and it may be 5 months from then, which sounds like it's so like unattainable for a lot of people. They're like, there's no way that I would be, you know, a presidential diamond in 5 months. They're sitting here, you know, diamond, and they're like, there's no way. But there is, because there's so many people who have done that and their business has exploded like almost overnight because they kept going. And I like what you said about like, you know, God saw your efforts and he saw that you hung in there and he just like blessed you with that. But it's because you were a good steward. Like he always, like in the word, it says, you know, if you're not faithful with a little, how can you be faithful with much? But if you are faithful with a little, I will give you even more and bless you abundantly, because I know that you can handle it. I know that you will handle it well. So if you have this team and you're constantly beating down on them because they're not doing what you want them to do, or you're constantly complaining about your team, or you're constantly speaking negativity about your team and about the business, why would God bless that? Why would he want to give you even more? Because he doesn't feel like you, I mean, That doesn't sound like a good steward to me. So, like, yeah, it's hard, but speak life over that and talk about how, you know what, like, my team is great and the best is still yet to come. Like, I have amazing rock stars now on my team, but my biggest rock stars are still coming. And I say that now, even though my team is freaking amazing and I wouldn't trade any of them for anything, but, like, my best is yet to come. And I still say that. And I truly believe that God is going to bless me being a good steward and that he's going to bless me being consistent, like what you said, because there is no point in quitting. Like, if you quit, you're going to be right back to where you were before. So you might as well stick around because you see what happens, obviously, whenever you do. Did you have anything else to add to that? It's okay if you don't. I just didn't want to cut you off.
I had something on the tip of my tongue, but I'm just like so involved. You're such like an easy person to listen to that I feel like everything that I was going to say just kind of went out the door. But if I remember, I'll come back to it.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Okay. So, the next thing I wanted to ask was, because you were talking about distributors, how, like, you want to bring in as many people as possible, which is so true for so many different reasons. But what advice would you give to somebody who wants to be a master recruiter this month with the $49 kits that we have? The, you know, bring a buddy, build with a buddy, whatever it is, the $49 kit deal. What would you say to them?
So honestly, this has been my lowest distributor enrolling month, and it's not because I don't know what I'm doing with distributors, but I feel like, you know, that Thermo X came about, and it's like, I don't know about your team, but I've never, I mean, 3 years I feel like is quite a bit of time. I started my first year January 28th, so at the end, so this would be the second January, but I've never seen volumes like they are now. Like, I'm pulling it up and I'm like, and it's everybody, you know, it's everybody. Even if they're just one or two loyals from Thermo X, it's people that normally don't enroll. And then the people that normally enroll are like here this month, you know? So that product drop was amazing. I think it's awesome that, you know, it's scientifically proven, clinically proven. The ingredient in the Thermo X is clinically proven for these results. So I feel like that has been a game changer. So for me personally, you know, there's times where you have to focus on volume, and then there's times you need to focus on distributors, but I always focus on both, even though I may be messaging certainly, you know, a certain amount of people about becoming loyal customers. So personally with distributors, I was sick from like December 27th until like Friday with some kind of viral crap. And so I did not do a live video, which like live videos are my go-to. My team's probably like, is she quitting? She's usually doing live videos all the time. So live videos have not been a part of my business this month. And I feel like that is a big reason why I have not enrolled distributors. 100,000,000,000% live videos are where it's at for distributors. And the reason being is because I can, even though people see my personality when I'm posting, your true personality and the realness, the rawness, the, you know, what people want to hear comes out in live videos for me. Personally, when live videos started in May of 2016, that is what I did all the time. So live videos are huge if you're trying to get people for the $49 deal and kind of navigating around it, you know, and not posting directly about $49 kits, using attraction marketing. I mean, you know, I did a post last week. I picked up my son from school, and I kind of, I don't know about you, Morgan, and I'm sure you do this, but if I'm looking good one day, which this is straight out of the shower hair, I have a mullet, trying to grow out like a pixie bob crap, but on my good looking days, I'm making sure that I'm taking good selfies. I'm taking good pictures. You know, and one day I picked up my son from school, which I always do, but I remember enrolling a lot of loyal customers that day. And I was able just to kind of take a picture from a certain view to leave some space so that I could crop in those loyal customers later, you know, and let people know that I'm picking up my son from school. I'm averaging this month, you know, this much money an hour. And, you know, I don't know if you do this as well, Morgan, but usually I'll take like what I make a month, I divide it by 4, and then I'm kind of putting it into like what I would make an hour if I was working a 40-hour work shift or work week. And then I let people know, you know, I'm sitting here picking up my son from school, and I'm just not missing a moment. I don't have to put him on the bus unless he wants to ride it. You know, there's not anyone else picking him up. I'm not rushing. I'm here, sitting here, helping people get started on this brand new product, while picking up my son from school and making this much per hour. And people are, you know, when people see, you know, $175 an hour, they're like, what the heck do you do to make that? Because I feel like when you're like when I was dental assisting, it was $12 or $14 an hour, which I think you can make at McDonald's now. I don't even know what the wages are anymore because I'm so out of the loop with everything. It's been 3 years, so I don't know what's normal. But even if you're making $20, $30 a full-time nurse, $40, whatever the case may be, $175 an hour, people are like, what do you do? Because you look like a complete bum right now, and there's just no way. So, you know, putting in that attraction marketing and coming up with creative ways and following other leaders, you know, follow the leader, and kind of look at what other people are posting. Obviously, your attraction marketing is going to be different because you look different, you talk different, you act different, you have a different personality, and your life's different. I mean, our kids don't go to the same school. You know, we cook different meals. You're always so different from other people, but just getting the idea of how you can incorporate your life and your freedom that you're gaining from this life, from this business, into a post. Because, you know, when I first started, for almost the first year and a half, 2 years, it was posting about products, talking about it works all the time on Facebook. And it's shifted so much with algorithms and things like that and what people want to see and hear. And you're not lying to people, but you're just, you know, saving that conversation for a private message. Some of that stuff doesn't need to be on Facebook. There's still a lot of top leaders that post it works all the time. I've been posting about, you know, like kind of beating around the bush about our new product instead of just posting pictures and, you know, obviously we don't have results, but posting pictures and blasting it all over Facebook. But I'm talking about it, you know, in kind of a nonchalant way to get people into my inbox, to get people commenting. But attraction marketing 100% when it comes to these kits, and making sure you're using words like half off, ASAP, you know, and the urgency. You have this many spots. You know, I have 5 spots for, you know, to do what I'm doing to make, you know, a $3,000 guarantee in the next 3 months for half off right now in big caps. You know, people want to see that they're getting a deal by joining and things like that. So attraction marketing, I usually save my cold messages for customers, and I do not cold message for distributors because I feel like I get enough with doing live videos and attraction marketing that I don't have to, you know, reach out to them. I feel like I leave them curious in that sense. You know what I'm saying? So with the $49 kits, that's how I would approach it. I haven't been approaching it that way, like I said, because I was so sick, didn't do live videos, but I'm still doing my attraction marketing no matter what. And I feel like that is a hit. And, you know, just making sure your pictures have good quality. You know, like I wouldn't go on and take a selfie right now like this. And it's not because I don't want to show people the real me or the, you know, just showered myself, but, you know, people don't want to see me like this. People aren't going to be like, oh, nice picture. You know, like taking time to really, you know, instead of throwing up crappy posts, taking time to edit your pictures, making sure, you know, there's not 5,000 water bottles on your nightstand. And people don't want to see that, you know. So attraction marketing at its finest.
Sorry, I always had to like switch over, so it was like this awkward. Okay, so you said that you do live videos. What do you talk about on your live videos? Because I know there's some people who are like, don't talk about it works on your live videos. Just like try to get more followers through your live videos and talk about random stuff. Or do you talk about it works? And like, so what if you did do a live video, just real quick, like what do you kind of talk about?
So my live videos kind of vary. So sometimes I'll talk about the business. I don't know if I say it works, but I talk about what I do or what I'm averaging or reasons, what I'm doing that day. And, you know, I'm sharing my life on my live videos. Most of the time I'm in the car, or even if I'm at home, I'm kind of explaining the business nonchalantly, I guess, like how I'm spending my day from working from home, things like that. I'm not wonderful at makeup, but for me, like I'm albino without makeup on. So then when you put makeup on me, I look like a totally different person. And I think people watch because they're like, holy shit, how did she go from that to that? So sometimes I'll do live videos on makeup, you know, anything. I'll be cooking, you know, things like that. I actually was starting a page. It was supposed to be starting January 4th, the day after my son went back to school. I was going to start doing home workouts because I work out from home, videotapes, things like that. I kind of have my own routine with what I do, and I've taken bits and pieces of different things. And So I made my own like personal blog page basically. And I also own my own boutique. So I was going to start doing, you know, a lot of my clothes posting in there. I was going to do a lot of giveaways in there. And I was going to start doing every morning, you know, Monday through Friday, doing workouts, and then people being able to watch them, and either they could do it on their own time, they could do it with me. But there's so many people that make excuses about not working out because either they can't afford the gym, or they don't have time to go to the gym. And this was something that they were going to be able to do on their own time. But like I said, I was sick until Friday. And so I haven't gotten started with it, but that was kind of the direction I was going to start going into. You know, my upline and uplines above her and uplines above her, I feel like they started with a lot of followers because they became millionaires with the company. So why wouldn't you have a lot of followers? You know, I feel like if I was quote unquote a millionaire with the company, there would be a lot more people following. And if you reach that 5,000, you know, 5,000 friends, you're going to have people following and not becoming friends and wanting to see what you're doing and things like that. So I feel like to kind of start gaining those followers, you have to start somewhere, obviously, whether it be branding yourself, if you're good at hair, if you're good at makeup, if you're good at, I don't know, if you do stuff with dogs, if you have like 10 kids, you have a daycare, whatever the case may be. I feel like you just have to start somewhere, and it's going to focus on that, but also, you know, be open to talk about different things and not just that subject. But like I said, my upline and uplines above them and stuff started with a lot of followers. And then if they do a makeup video or a hair video, then it just explodes because there's already so many followers to begin with. And then it just goes here and here and here. So I feel personally as a presidential even that it's hard to teach my team where to start with getting followers when, you know, if they see videos like that, well, then I can do that video and do the same thing. Well, not exactly, because, you know, it's hard when you're starting at square one with not many followers. So getting your live videos out there and maybe finding something that you can focus on, whether it be, a lot of people have been doing cooking videos, and that explodes for people because people like to see that kind of, you know, those kind of things. But good quality videos if you're doing things like that and not having like your phone up on the sink or whatever, you know, get yourself a good mount. They're $5, you know, things like that. But yeah, live videos on everything, you know. And I remember when I first started, I mean, I've always done live videos, and there was people on my team that were kind of afraid to do live videos. They were nervous, and they were like, what's your biggest piece of advice for somebody that has no kids, no animals, no husband, and nothing to talk about? And I'm like, just go to Walmart and do a live video, because there's so much to talk about at Walmart. You're in a public place. There's lots to see. There's lots to do. There's lots to shop for. I mean, go somewhere where there's a lot of people and do a live video, you know. No one's life is that boring.
I love that. I just like am writing down things that I can talk about. Because it's true, because, you know, branding yourself, like, okay, if you're going to make an Instagram bio, like, that's branding yourself, the things that you put on there. Like, so if, like, my Instagram bio says that I'm a wife, a dog mom, I love tacos, I work out, and all that stuff, like, that's like my brand. Like, that's what I love to do. That's who I am. That's what I love. And so what somebody told me once was your first 9 pictures, and this is Instagram, but your first 9 pictures of your Instagram should show who you are. And if your first 9 pictures, because that's just like whenever you scroll like this, it's the first that you see. If it doesn't match with your bio, then you're doing something wrong. So if everything that you post is about the products, like, well, you don't have anything about It Works in your bio, because
Right.
you don't want to show people that you're like with It Works like that. You want to keep them guessing and like, what is she doing? But you also, if you're posting all these products and that's all you're posting, like, you're not talking about who you are. So post about your dog or your kids or whatever your brand is. And if you have trouble on my team coming up with that, go to our team page and type in the word training. And I literally have a training on how to brand yourself and how to figure out what you love to do and how to figure out how to take that and make that part of what you talk about, what you post about. Whenever people think of you, they know who you are, because they're like, oh, that's that girl that does this, or like, that's that girl who likes this. And like, they connect with you on different levels. I'll have people tag me and stuff all the time about golden retrievers, and they're like potential loyal customers. Never met them in my life. Wouldn't know them if they like walked up to me. Like, we've just become friends on social media, but they know that I love my golden. And so they'll tag me and stuff like that, just things that they think of me or think of whenever they think of me. And that's what you want to have happen. You want to show who you are outside of this business too. Okay, so how do you work your business? You kind of already told us a lot. Like, it sounds like you work mostly Facebook, and that you do a lot of live videos. You talked about that. So what are the best things that you use for enrollments? Like, if you want to, I mean, you kind of hit on it a little bit, but if you wanted to like talk any more about that, like, is it posting? Is it messaging? Is it polls? Like, is it your live videos? Like, is that where you mostly get people from? Do you just message for the products? Do you do post to post? What do you do?
Yeah, so I feel like live videos is something that should be done at least once a day or once every other day. To me, that's, I feel like, a 100% must. Posting, I think I like to post not really to get customers more so. The attraction marketing posts come from, me hungry for distributors. But when we have a product launch like this, I post a lot more about, products. It's attraction marketing with the products. It's not posting a picture of the product, who wants to be a product model, whatever the case may be. I've stopped using the word model because I've gotten so many people that are like thinking it's for my boutique that they're modeling, or they really think that I'm paying them to model. So I've really gotten away from using the word model. But posting is something I do every day. And obviously that could be for getting LCs, getting DTs, but that's just showing my commitment to my business and my job. It keeps me on my toes. Sometimes I will be like, oh my gosh, I haven't posted it. It's noon. So I make up for that the rest of the day. I'm posting over the time that I normally would at night, or whatever the case may be. Or I'll make up for it by putting like a really funny meme up that so many people are going to share and just be laughing their asses off. So I do host a post. I usually try to get a host a post up once or twice a day. And then what I do is I'll put my host a post up, mid-morning or mid-afternoon. And then every night I sit down, and sometimes I will have some of my leaders and we'll get on the phone, and it'll just be for like a quick half hour from 7 to 7:30. I do 7 p.m. Central Standard Time because I feel like either a lot of people are sitting down to eat, they're getting their kids in the bath, they have their phone in their hand, maybe they're getting ready for bed if they're Eastern Time. Things like that. I feel like people are more so on their phone from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I usually sit down with a couple of my leaders. I'll do a 3-way call or a Zoom, 7 p.m. to 7:30 Central Standard Time. And we'll go through, and we will send the people that commented on our host a post, we'll send them a post to put up. And that way they're getting the post up around, in between 7 and 7:30, whether it's Central Time or 8:30 Eastern Time. And then so many people are on Facebook at that time. So that's the time their friends are seeing the posts that they're putting up. And then, so 7 to 7:30 is when I usually will send the post for people to host for me. And then I'm putting my son to bed, probably still making dinner. And then, in between 9 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, like I said, depending on what's going on here, is when I will go on and I will see who's commented on the host of posts from the people that posted for me, and I will start messaging them. I have the best luck with that if I message them at that time. And then sometimes I'll get to some in the morning as well, depending on how late it is. And then the next day, it's like, so every night I have something to do. If I'm getting 1 or 2 host of posts up per day, whether I'm giving away a $100 gift card and that's for the entire month, but I continue to post it. And the more times they post for me, they get more entries, or however you want to do it. I mean, what's cool about the host to post is it's on your terms. I mean, you can do whatever you want. And you can just give away a product, or you could give away 1 wrap, or you can give away 10 cents. I mean, whatever you want to do, whatever you can, handle on your end is what you can do. And then, so every night, like I said, I have that schedule of consistency. I'm doing this at this time or around there, and then I'm sending these out at this time. So usually once I get back to my host to post people, hey, I saw you were interested in the weight loss coffee, or whatever the case may be. So once I kind of get all that stuff sent out, that's when I start cold messaging. So for me personally, I've always preached to my team since day one. I send usually around 100 to 200 cold messages a night. So cold messages, I guess some leaders were like, you're not sending cold messages, they're your friends. That's not a cold message. But to me, a cold message is sending a message to someone who, hasn't responded to me about the previous cold message, or B, I've never messaged before and they're a new friend. So sending out messages to them, the questionnaire message that was brought up at conference this past year, I came up with that message. I like to be really authentic with my messages and make them my own. I don't do a lot of copy and paste from other leaders. I like to give my team something new and fresh that's just authentic to our team. That way, they're not getting spam messages from, another person's team that's the same message. So I try to keep it different. Even if they're getting a duplicate message, it's something different. But I do sit in cold message on Messenger. I will get on with some leaders, and if not, I'll do it myself. But I hold myself accountable to that every night, at least sending 100 messages a night. So how many times a day am I posting? I'm posting, it just kind of depends on my day. That's what I love about this business. Like I said, today I had a super busy day up until like 2 p.m. and that's when I started posting. Usually when I wake up and I'm in bed, I'll post, I'll look through the memories on my time hop and I'll post something having to do with that or an inspirational, or like this morning I shared a funny video about opinions and just kind of whatever. But like I said, my posts go on how my day is. I am the type of distributor that does not have a planned out day. I go by the seat of my, the seat of my pants. So if I'm busy in the morning, then I'll do more in the afternoon at night. But I try to consistently post throughout the day. But like I said, that's the blessing we all have with this business is it's on our own time. So if you don't have time in the morning, it's okay. You don't have to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't post at 8:07 a.m. this morning like I did the last week. It's on your terms. So post when you can, but just get something up, but obviously take some time with your posting and make sure you're not just quote unquote throwing anything up. But I always save stuff. So if I'm laying in bed and I've kind of done my work, I've messaged, I'm not really getting back to messages or I'm not really continuing, I'm kind of trying to wind down. Those are the times at night where I'll start saving stuff for the next day. Like I will screenshot a selfie from like last year that I want to post or redo, for tomorrow. Or I'll get on Pinterest and find a new instant pot recipe that people may be interested in, or a breakfast recipe, or a quote, or a picture, or whatever the case may be. But I always feel like I have stuff lined up in my phone that if I needed to throw something up, that's something I did take time to look up, but I am just throwing it up so I have something to post because I do want people to see I'm consistent. But we're all human. We all get busy, such as life. So really, Morgan, that's how my day looks. That's kind of what I do to get my enrollments post to post, cold messaging. I'm a believer in that because I'm not sending spammy messages. They're very genuine and they're homemade. It's coming from me. It's what I would be okay with hearing from somebody else. They always seem to go over well. Random adding, obviously, whenever you get time, I'm a huge believer in that. It takes 15 minutes. Some of my team will put like 15-minute timers on or alarms, and they'll do it for 15 minutes and then they'll stop and then they'll do another 15 minutes. So kind of all the tasks that we are, supposed to be doing. But I say, as long as you're feeling comfortable in what you're putting in on your day and your time, then that's all that matters. You yourself have to feel accomplished. And if that means putting up one post a day and messaging 5 people, and that's what makes you feel accomplished, you feel good about the work you put in and you're comfortable with your enrollments and your rank, I feel like then roll with it, sister.
I love that so much. And yeah, like honestly, I mean, we all have the same amount of time in a day, right? So like if you say you're too busy, but then there's somebody else that's doing the business and succeeding with it, it's obviously not the time, it's probably you. So you have to find ways to work this business into your schedule. And like you were talking about posting, one thing that I do is super similar. So like I come up with what I'm going to post about the night before. I come up with my whole day. Like I've already planned out my whole day for tomorrow before we got on the Zoom. And I just wrote down my, same tasks for the day. And I know not everybody's as organized, but you can do the part about posting that I'm going to talk about. And if you don't, you're going to continue to feel like you don't have time to do this. Like you're only hurting yourself if you don't at least try. Like you can give the excuse all the time, well, I'm not an organized person. Well, it does help to be organized. So maybe try to be an organized person, like at least in one area. So the posting thing you can for sure do, but I've already got my day planned out for tomorrow. And I already put like post, and then I did like a little arrow and I wrote what I'm going to post about. And so I'm going to write those posts when we get off of here. I'm going to save them in my Instagram drafts, and I have extras if I feel like I need like a little filler, but I use the When to Post app. So whenever I get on that app, it's just literally called When to Post, and it's based on my Instagram followers. So it doesn't work for Facebook, I don't think, but for Instagram, it does, and it's based on my followers when they're the most active different days. And every week is different, every day is different. And so like this today, I think it was like 12, 15, 4, and 6. So this morning, first thing, I look at my When to Post app and I set alarms for those 3 times. And I've already have my 3 posts set up, and I try to do face, non-face, face, non-face, face. Like I just go back and forth. That way it's not the same thing altogether. But I knew what I was going to post in order. So the first thing I was going to post, I had it ready to go and did it at 12:15 because that was whenever my post said to, or my app said to. And so then I go and post that, but I've already created that the night before. And that way I don't have to try at 12:15 today, whenever I'm in the middle of doing all this other stuff, try to make up a post at the last minute. I already have my post set up. And then I also will come up with, and this has actually been really fun to do because, it's been really fun to do. I'll tell you what I do first and I'll tell you how it's cool. So like, let's say tomorrow I have a hair appointment, which I don't, but it's Wednesday. So tomorrow night, I'm going to write my post for Wednesday, and I'm going to say something about my hair appointment because I'm going to take a picture at my hair appointment. So do I have a picture to use right now for my post? No, but I'm going to have one. So in my notes on my phone, instead of saving this to Instagram, I'm going to put it in my notes, and I'm going to say, just got my hair done. I'm so thankful that I get to do this for myself because I used to not ever be able to do that because I didn't have the money to. Now I got to spend the afternoon pampering myself, and I just feel refreshed. Who doesn't love a new haircut? I don't know. I just made that up. So I'll probably say something like that. I'm going to save it in my notes on my phone. So whenever I get to the hair place, I'm going to take a picture, and then I'm going to save it as a draft once I edit it and make it bright. And then whenever it's time for me to post again, I'm going to post it. But I've already talked about why I love what I did. Like I knew what I was going to do the next day. So I went ahead and wrote my post about it. And it's cool because I was reading or listening to High Performance Habits, the book, and it's so cool because he said what you need to do is think about things that bring you joy, and you need to think about the things that you want to do and then talk about them as if they already happened and how they made you feel. I was like, I do that all the time, but it was to set up my post for Instagram. So I'll talk about my day, and I'm like, I did this today and I loved how, I felt free and I felt excited. And so then whenever that thing happened, that is how I felt because I already said that I did and it had never even happened yet. So now it is happening and I am excited. That thing does bring me joy. So it actually fit into that really well. So I would encourage you to do that, especially even if you don't have a post, I'm going to take my kids to the park tomorrow and, I get to spend my afternoon with him or her, and I'm excited about that because I used to never be able to spend time with them because I work 2 jobs, whatever it is, and then take a picture when you get to the park and post it. So that's an idea that I have too, and I love what you said about you just work your business whenever you can, post whenever you can, and that's the beauty of the business because it's so true.
I'm blown away, I think, by your organization because it's just funny to see the success of different presidentials or different triples or different doubles or different ambassadors and how they do things, because I'm sitting here you did what? You got everything ready for tomorrow? I don't even know. I just washed my hair for the first time in 6 or something. It was disgusting. We're just all do things at our own paces, and that is what's beautiful, but that's what works for you. If I sat here and did that, I probably would be sitting here for 6 hours, and that's great. That's the difference in how and the freedom on how we can work this business and how everyone can be successful doing it their own way.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. Yeah. Don't feel like you have to be organized, or if you're organized, don't feel like that's a bad thing or whatever. Everybody is so different and you can be successful no matter what. I always think about Tiffany Her, and she one time said that, and she's like obviously ambassador top income earner, and she was like, yeah, I don't really have a follow-up system, just like I put a green heart by everybody, and so then on Friday I just like scroll through my text and message people with a green heart by their name. I was like, I would go absolutely insane, but obviously that works for her, and so just find what works for you and then do it and do it often. Okay, let's see. We talked about managing your time. We have time for like 2 quick questions. Okay, so quick question: how important has events been for your business? We have conference coming up, so obviously that's a huge event, and then like getting to events in your area and things like that. How important has that been?
So I think that's a super, super important key to a lot of people's business. And I'm not saying it's not for mine, but you've probably seen my story, Morgan. I got my implants taken out in September. I've been really sick the past 3 years. Honestly, literally around the time that I joined, I started having all these crazy symptoms. So I've been to one event, and it was a like little one team, one mission in a hotel room, like 2 hours away from me. I went to that with my uplines. I think we're hosting it in Minneapolis, and that's the only event I've been to. I've bought a conference ticket every year. Never have went because I've never felt good enough to go. But every conference that has happened, the first one that I didn't go to, I watched it on pay-per-view. I promoted just the same amount as everyone else did. I didn't go to conference last year, and last year was my, it was my aha moment. It was when I went triple diamond, and, so I think that being around like-minded business people, it takes your business to a whole nother level, 100%. But I also 100% feel like if you're motivated and you're concentrated and you know what you want, it's going to happen no matter if you're in a room full of like-minded people or if you're at home watching people in a room that is full of like-minded people. And that's personally been my outlook on the business. So I think events are great. I think that a lot of people need events. I feel like a lot of people need that fire to fuel them. I think that a lot of people need, if they're at a rough spot in their business or whatever, maybe they're not, maybe they just want to be around other people to hear their stories and things like that. I think events are important for everyone, but it's never affected my business and it never will affect my business.
I love that. Okay. One last quick question. How do you train your team and teach your team to train their team? Like, do you have like a specific thing that you go through with everybody that joins, and then do you teach your team to do that same thing, or do you do like FaceTimes or what?
Yep. So usually, obviously when I first was distributor to Triple Diamond, it was a mess. It was all over the place. I felt like I was training people and the layered leadership wasn't there exactly because and it's not even being a control freak or wanting to have the control over how people are working their business, because I feel like I'm OCD. I'm a control freak in so many different ways in my life, but with this business, I am not, because I think it's good to let go and let God, and especially with this business, because I feel like if you're going to join, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. And if you join, you might not do it right now, but you're going to do it at some point, or you're really not going to do it at all. So with new team members, I get them started. I get them welcomed into my team page. I get them welcomed on my main page most of the time. Make them feel special. I tag them. I have 2 new distributor videos in my team page that I always, and everyone always tags their team, and they just follow what I'm doing. They tag their new team members. Some people tag their new girls or new guys in more things than I do, which is fine. It's all in how you want to train that person. But if I'm personally enrolling the distributor and, I'm getting them started, and then I'm putting them in a group chat with the person, and I'm, the leader that I'm giving them to. But I've been having my team work for distributors. It comes to a certain point in your business where you have this chart, you need distributors in this part of your chart, you need distributors, you have to place to promote, right? So I feel like when you get to a point in your business where you can have your leaders work and kind of combat to win that distributor, that pushes them to do more, that pushes them to enroll more. And then your distributor's getting fast start qualified right off that. So if you're going neck to neck and you have 5 or 6 LLCs, those LLCs are going to the distributor, you're helping them get fast start qualified, which is in turn helping me who work for the distributor. And then I'm putting them in a chat with each other saying like, hey, Morgan, I wanted to go ahead and introduce you to, you know, one of my top leaders, Janet, and I'm pairing you guys together, and we're both going to be helping you, you know, run to the top and succeed. And then it's not really handing them off, but that's kind of getting them introduced. And then I'm just pretty quiet in the chat, or I put the chat on mute and I let them talk, or they start their own chat depending on, you know, how involved that new distributor gets and so on and so forth. So we do Zoom calls, of course, but the new distributor training videos are a tell-all. If you watch them and you're ready to get started, you're going to get started. I always help them get their first post up. So I always have a copy and paste where I ask them a little bit about themselves. So I ask them why they joined, why they chose me, you know, what they want out of the business and things like that. And then I have them send me a selfie and I kind of put it all together in their first post and I give that to them. So it's basically saying, you know, hey, Facebook, a lot of you know me, some of you may not. My name is so-and-so. I just linked arms and, you know, joined this, you know, amazing company on a limb with this top income earner in the company. And I chose her because, you know, she makes a lot of money, or I chose her because I love how down to earth she is, or whatever they chose me for. And, you know, my goal is to, you know, change lives this year along with mine, and changing my, you know, financial status and things like that. And, you know, like ... stay tuned 2019 coming for you hard, or whatever the case may be. And then putting that selfie, and I'm giving them their first post. And then of course I'm having them do their, you know, their flat tire list. So making a list of 20 people that you would contact if you got a flat tire, or you were having a baby in your car, or went into labor, whatever the case may be. Your dirt list, people, you know, 20 people that would buy dirt from you, even though it means nothing, you know, having that dirt list where, you know, hey mom, I have some dirt. I know it really doesn't mean a lot to you, but I would really appreciate your support. Will you please buy this dirt from me? And it's not begging, but asking for support to kind of get you started as a new distributor, I think is huge. And not everyone wants to buy dirt, and it might not mean a lot to everyone. Some people, you know, just like not everyone's wanting to lose weight, or not everyone's looking to change their skincare, but just reaching out and asking for that support and giving them that message to get them started to make their dirt list, send out a message or a text message or a call to those 20 people on their dirt list, so that they have, you know, just they're getting started. They're getting their foot in the door with some of these people. And that's kind of how we do training. And then of course I'm on one-on-ones throughout the day with, you know, top leaders, with people that are more so giving me their time, are calling, they're asking questions. They need help charting, things like that. You know, even if they're double diamond, triple diamond rank, I feel like it's still my responsibility to train them. It's not like, all right, ta-ta, make your own team. You know, like we're still working hand in hand and building those friendships and those trusting relationships with our top leaders.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. I love the layered leadership, and I love like continuing to pour into those people, especially if they want to be poured into. And they're like offering, you know, their time and meeting them halfway and giving them your time and all that stuff, because that's pretty much what we do too. But thank you so much. I want to go ahead and we can hop off here because it's 11 here. So I want to keep it at just an hour, but thank you so much. This was so helpful. And I've already had people messaging in our team chat saying like, oh, that was really good, or, oh, I'm going to start doing that. And they're excited. So thank you so much for hopping on here and giving us your time tonight. And we are so appreciative.
Yes. Thank you so much, Morgan. And congratulations on your promotion, and yay for conference.
Hey, I'll see you there.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.